Hello everyone and welcome to Shifting Gears. Welcome inside the all-new Maruti Suzuki Dzire, and this is the 4th generation of the Dzire compact sedan. So the Maruti Suzuki Dzire has been on sale in the Indian market for 16 years, and ever since it was launched, this has been a blockbuster product for Maruti Suzuki. It has sold in big numbers, and now in its 4th generation avatar, let me tell you, it is better than ever. It looks smashing on the outside, it looks quite decent on the inside too. It packs reasonable space for a compact sedan, and you get all the bells and whistles that you expect from a modern day car as per 2024 standards. In this video, we are going to speak about how good does this Dzire feel from behind the wheel. So this is going to be a very detailed drive review video. We are driving around this new 4th generation Dzire on the streets of Goa. There will be 2 more videos. One where we speak about the exterior design, because this is very distinct. It doesn't look like the Swift, and also it doesn't look identifiable when you compare it to the previous generations of the Dzire. So Maruti Suzuki is saying that this is more of a revolutionary design change, and I agree with that. I accept their point. And also we will upload a very detailed interior review video too, where we speak about the space, the practicality, and all the features that you get on the inside of this sub 4 meter compact sedan. So now let us focus on the driving bits, and first let me tell you everything about the specifications of this all new Dzire. Now, powering this 4th generation all new Maruti Suzuki Dzire is the Z12E petrol engine. Now this 1.2 liter 3-cylinder motor, it produces 81.58 PS of power at 5700 RPM and 111.7 Newton meters of torque at 4300 RPM. Now all of this is in the petrol only variants. If you buy the petrol plus CNG bi-fuel kit, then the Dzire is going to produce 69.75 PS of power and 101.8 Newton meters of torque. The engine remains the same, but then the power and torque output is different. With the petrol variants, you get a 37 liter fuel tank capacity. With the petrol plus CNG bi-fuel kit variants, you get the same 37 liters of petrol tank capacity along with 55 liters of water equivalent capacity for your CNG tank. Speaking about mileage, Maruti Suzuki claims that this Dzire can deliver 24.79 kmpl with manual variants, 25.71 kmpl with the AMT variants, and 33.73 kilometers per kg if you buy the CNG variant of this new Dzire. Coupled to the engine of this gearbox is a 5-speed manual or a 5-speed AMT, and if you buy the CNG trims, you will only get the 5-speed manual transmission option. Now the variant which I have with me today is the top of the line petrol AMT. So since this is an AMT, this is not the CNG variant of the Dzire. What I want to highlight is the NVH characteristic. I have pulled over on the shoulder out on the highway on the streets of Goa, and let me tell you, when the engine is idling on the steering wheel, there is no real vibration. There is only a mild pulsation which you can make out if at all you are paying that much attention to just notice it. Otherwise, it doesn't vibrate at all. The rear view mirrors, no vibrations, no shakedowns. The inside rear view mirror, as stable as it can be, no vibrations. This gear stick, even if I hold on to it, I rest my hand on it, no vibrations. So in terms of NVH, Maruti Suzuki has definitely done a fine job with this 3-cylinder motor, and it doesn't feel like a compromise. But if you are planning to bring this home, let us check out the acceleration. So now in 3, 2, 1, full pedal to the metal. Listen to the engine. For a 3-cylinder motor, it actually sounds quite nice. And in 3rd gear itself, you will be crossing 100 kilometers per hour. Now for a vehicle of this category, sub 4 meter in length, with a 1.2 liter 3-cylinder motor, the acceleration is reasonable enough. It is not really a very fast and furious kind of a sporty performance sedan, but for the family audience, this is reasonably quick and it should take you from point A to point B in a jiffy should you need to do that. Let us try it out one more time. So I will pull over to the shoulder again and let us accelerate from a standstill one more time. What I also want you to notice is that since I'm driving this AMT variant, all I have to do is slot it in D mode. There is no button that I have to press. From neutral, I can simply slot drive mode. I can also get into manual mode if I push the gear stick to the left and then push it up to downshift, pull it down to upshift. Very simple mechanism. I'm going to stick to standard D mode, standard drive mode. There are no other driving modes on offer like Eco, City, Normal or Sports. None of that is available. So no Eco mode for efficiency, no Normal mode which is what the vehicle will start in, and no Sport mode for better performance. Standard drive mode. And now let us check it out if this Maruti Suzuki Dzire has punchy performance one more time. And this time there is some traffic, so we'll wait a little. And now in 3, 2, 1, full pedal to the metal. Keep listening to the engine. As you can notice, under hard acceleration, when this AMT gearbox makes those gear shifts, there is a lull, and you can also notice that head nod because it takes that, few seconds. There is that lag that you will notice because this is an AMT. This is not a torque converter automatic. This is not a dual clutch automatic. An AMT is optimized for efficiency, it is optimized for cost, and because of that it might feel a bit slow when you want faster shifts. You can't really get that because it is just the mechanism. It is built to a cost. It is what it is. But nevertheless, when you want to make fast-paced overtaking maneuvers, it is no slouch. And compared to an average driver, the AMT gearbox is definitely more smarter in terms of engaging the right gear at the right time. All you have to do is plan your overtakes, kick that throttle pedal, and you are good to go. So no complaints in that department. Getting back to the performance bit, as you might have noticed, it accelerates quite strongly. It sounds quite good for a 3-cylinder, and performance for this new Dzire is at par with my expectations. I wasn't really expecting anything more. I'm actually quite pleasantly surprised the way that it sounds. And right now at speeds of 80 kilometers per hour, let me reduce the AC fan speed. AC fan speed is now at blower setting 1. I'm on a concrete patch. NVH is quite good. There is some tire noise, but that is because we are driving on a concrete piece of road. But there is no wind buffeting that I can hear inside the cabin. So at city speeds, this Dzire is going to be quiet inside the cabin. So all your passengers would be happy, you would be happy. And because there is no wind noise, there is not too much of, poor NVH. Because the NVH is good, it won't add to your overall stress. So you can drive for longer without fatigue. So that also is quite good, quite impressive inside this new generation Dzire. Right now, when I'm driving effortlessly in standard D mode, I'm just feathering the throttle. At 60 kilometers per hour, the vehicle has already engaged 5th gear and it is gently pulling and picking up pace. I don't really have to get on the gas too much and I can progressively keep building momentum. Should I choose to kick the pedal, it has now dropped straight away to 3rd gear, and now I am picking up pace much faster in a much rapid fashion. So the gearbox is smart enough to understand the amount of throttle input that you give in. So even though I was in 5th, it went down to 3rd, not to 4th, because it sensed that I wanted that much more power. So this AMT gearbox in 2024, it is smart enough. It is not really dumb that it won't respond to your inputs. So you will have no complaints in terms of functionality. Now, what I want to highlight about this gearbox is this manual mode functionality. So I have switched it to manual mode, and now check this out. I'm downshifting. When I accelerate hard, if I don't upshift, it is now stuck at the rev limiter, which is at 6000 RPM. And then after I give the upshift prompt, it will upshift. So this manual mode is true manual when you are going up the gears. So you will have to make those gear shifts by yourself when you are upshifting. So let me demonstrate that one more time. I'm slotting it in second gear. Now if I accelerate, check this out, keep listening to the engine. It has now got stuck on the rev limiter and it will not upshift by itself. So that is something that you will have to keep in mind if you drive it in manual mode. But say for example, I upshift now to third gear and now I have upshifted to fourth gear. What will happen if the speeds drop and I don't downshift? This time I don't have to do anything. I was in fourth, it has now engaged second gear, and if I try to pull over, check this out, even though I am in manual mode, the vehicle will come to a standstill and it will engage first gear. But now when I start off again, remember that I am in manual mode. Now keep listening to the engine. This Dzire AMT is continuing in first gear and it will bounce on the rev limiter. It will not upshift and you will have to do this manually. So this is how the mechanism is going to work. When you are slowing down, when you are reducing your speed, or when you are going to come to a halt, the engine and gearbox, they are smart enough to not stall and they will downshift till first gear if you come to a standstill. But when you want to go up the gears, you will have to do that by yourself. Now this is going to be very useful when you are driving this car around ghats, so you can stay in a lower gear at higher revs so that you can stay in the meat of the power band, so the vehicle doesn't get caught in a surprise if the slope is too steep and there is too much load in your vehicle. So in that situation, this gearbox functionality should be acceptable because it gives you that much more control over the engine and gearbox. Apart from that, there are no paddle shifters on the steering wheel. The gear stick only offers you upshift and downshift options, and there are no other drive modes which are offered to you with this Dzire AMT or even the Dzire manual. Now, for saving that fuel efficiency though, there is one feature which is idle start-stop functionality. Now this Dzire in its 4th generation avatar, it doesn't have any SHVS kit or tech. So there is no smart hybrid which is offered to you. But you do get that auto start-stop functionality, which means that when you pull over to a shoulder and when you stop, or when you are at a signal, the engine will shut off and it will save that fuel. Let me demonstrate that to you. So I will pull over to the shoulder, and as soon as I come to a standstill, and now the engine has switched off. I am still in D mode. I have not activated neutral. I am in drive mode, and as soon as I lift off my foot from the brake pedal, the engine came back to life. It took a few seconds and then now it has started to crawl without me giving any throttle input. I have not tapped the accelerator at all. And right now it is idling at almost 1000 RPM and the speed is under 10 kilometers per hour. And now we are good to go. But say for example, you moved a little and then you tried to come to a halt again. Say for example, you are in bumper to bumper traffic. The engine has again switched off and now it has come back to life again. Now this feature is good to save some fuel, but in the long run it does affect your engine mount. So if you are in a bumper to bumper traffic kind of a situation, I would recommend that you switch off this feature if it is going to take too long in that traffic for you, so that you can preserve those engine mounts. I'm sure Maruti Suzuki has worked their way with the design and development of these mounts and longevity, so it won't really be a problem. It is just that you can be kind to your mechanical parts of your vehicle too. And in that bumper to bumper traffic, if at all the engine keeps, switching off every now and then, the AC performance will drop, and then that slight lag which it takes to fire up the engine and then start rolling, that is also a waste of time. So it is up to you if you want to save some fuel or if you want to save some time. Time is money too, as they say. Now the next point to speak about is the overall performance of this engine. Now we did speak about the acceleration and it was quite acceptable. Now when I'm out on the highway, the engine has kept me happy throughout my drive. I have been driving this vehicle since 6 a.m. in the morning. It is almost 12 p.m. now and no complaints at all. The engine does what I want it to do with absolute ease. Of course, I know what product I'm driving. I know what segment the product is in, and I have my expectations in check. So with all of that, I know what the vehicle can do, what it is capable of, and it has been doing it in a nice fine manner. Right now, if I have to make overtakes out on the highway, no problems. If I have to climb to higher speeds, no problems. And this Dzire is just as suitable inside the city and also out on the highway. So the engine will not let you down. The performance is adequate. We are right now 2 adults on board in this Dzire with plenty of luggage. So that is just a reference for you in terms of the weight that we are carrying. So it's good, it's great. And since it's a Maruti Suzuki, since this is that K series engine too, you know that it will last. It is a rev happy motor, it is reliable, it is dependable. So drive anywhere across the country, it will do its job. And should you need any repairs, spares should be readily available. Now the next point to speak about is the steering wheel of this new Dzire. Typical of Maruti Suzuki cars, this also has an EPS unit. Let me pull over to the shoulder and highlight the basic benefits of this steering wheel. So check this out. When I come to a complete standstill, say for example, if I have to make a U-turn, the steering wheel is nice and light, so it is very effortless. So everybody in your family can easily use this car, drive this car without feeling that it is stressful. But if your idle start-stop functionality is active, check this out. If you drive your vehicle and then when you come to a standstill and then when the engine, shuts off, at this time, the steering wheel, it is still on the lighter side. It has not become heavy. So you can still steer the car and it will not require any effort. Check this out. The vehicle has come to a standstill. The steering wheel still has some assistance. So no problem in that department too. Overall, when you start driving, when you are at city speeds, decent. But because this is an EPS unit and because it's a Maruti Suzuki, they have been lacking in this department in terms of feel and feedback. Now there is some dead area in the center, so it doesn't do anything when you move it this much. So that is something that you will have to keep in mind. But otherwise, when you want to make fast-paced lane changes and when you want to suddenly make an overtaking maneuver, when you're driving fast, when you're trying to pick up speeds, the steering wheel will give you good idea of where the wheels are pointing, and when you are going to suddenly make a lane change, check this out. You know where the vehicle is going. It is just that it doesn't really feel very dynamically sorted when you do that, when it comes to the steering response and feedback. But overall, since this is a mass market vehicle, since this is a family oriented vehicle, nobody is driving this way. Nobody is making these sharp, lane changes as if they are driving on a racetrack. So it doesn't really matter. So it is irrelevant that we speak so much about the steering wheel not being very feel and feedback rich. The vehicle is not meant to do that. The vehicle is meant to take you from point A to point B, and it now has all the features that you expect. So it does what it is supposed to do. It does what it is expected to do. It is just that some people might have the wrong expectations. Now, when I'm driving this vehicle out on the highway, let us speak about the suspension setup. So I drove it at city speeds, I drove it over some nasty speed breakers in Goa. Now I'm out on the highway. There are quite a few undulations, but the suspension setup has kept me happy through and through. No complaints in terms of ride quality. 15-inch wheels with this Maruti Suzuki Dzire. I'm glad that they are not 16 or 17. That could have come at the cost of comfort and ride quality. 15 inches are just about perfect, and the suspension setup is ideal for the Indian streets. No problems at all. Drive it over rough terrain, no complaints. It tackles it very comfortably. Drive it over speed breakers, the underbelly doesn't scrape, the wheelbase section doesn't scrape, so the suspension doesn't sag too much even with two people with luggage on board right now. And when you drive it over some thuds, of course you can hear those thuds inside because the vehicle is built to a cost too, so there is not too much of sound deadening material. But in terms of the suspension doing its job, it is decent, it is reasonable. Overall, it is not the most luxurious ride quality that you can get, but it is as predictable as you would want it to be when you are going long distance touring all across the country with this all new Dzire. So that is great because it is a dependable sedan. These cars are sold in such big numbers that Maruti Suzuki can't risk it to make it too soft for the comfort-oriented buyer or too stiff for the sporty, spirited driving dynamics. It is the right mix and it is quite ideal. The next point is the brakes. Now this is a two-pedal drive. This is an AMT variant which I'm driving today. First thing that I want to speak about is the footwell area, which is very well spaced out. There is also a dead pedal, so I am resting my left foot comfortably even with a shoe size 9. No space crunch over there at all for my left foot. Speaking about brakes, stopping power is adequate. The brake pedal is easy to understand, and the good thing is that it is not over servoed, it is not too sharp. So as soon as you tap the brakes, the vehicle doesn't dive too much and it doesn't really slow down too quickly. So because of that, this can be a very good first car too. This Maruti Suzuki Dzire, if you desire to buy it as your first vehicle, it is easy to understand, it is easy to drive, and it is also easy to stop when you think that you are a bit scared because this is your first vehicle. So in that department too, everything is quite predictable, and from behind the wheel, this is a very well balanced family car. It doesn't do anything exceptionally, but it doesn't do anything wrong at all. Now the last point which I want to speak about is, of course, mileage. Now Maruti Suzuki's claim is over 20 kmpl, but speaking about the real world mileage, we have driven this car close to 100 kilometers today. The mileage figure which I can see on the speedometer cluster in that MID, I can also show it to you over here. Check this out, it is 15.4 kmpl. Now this includes a lot of spirited driving, going all out with hard acceleration, driving it around the bylanes of Goa, and now we are cruising effortlessly out on the highway. If you're going to drive a distance like Mumbai to Goa, I'm sure the mileage figure can be in the 15 to 20 kmpl range easily with 3 to 4 people on board. But it also depends on how hungry on the throttle you are, how you start off from a standstill, how hard you accelerate from a standstill. So all of these things definitely add up. The mileage figure which the brand claims is the best that you can get. Maybe you can get more if you are very, very, very careful, and mostly you get less because it is not ideal scenario all the time when you're out on the streets. But this mileage figure, 15.6 for a two-pedal drive, it's good enough and I have no complaints with it. Right now, as you can notice, we are on a long sweeping corner out on the highway, and I was at above 80 kilometers per hour. The vehicle held its line quite positively, so it did not make me feel nervous. If I accelerate hard right now, if I want to drive through these gaps, and if I keep building up pace at speeds of almost 120 kilometers per hour and above, even over these bridge connecting joints, the vehicle stays stable at all times, and there is not too much of waftiness or vertical movement. So when I say that this is a family oriented vehicle, it is not overly soft in its suspension tune, so it doesn't keep bouncing around. It stays stable, it stays planted, and because of that it will give you more confidence if you are going to go out on a long highway drive. And if you want to suddenly accelerate hard and overtake vehicles, even when you are over 80 kilometers per hour, it will drop a gear and then you can have those other cars disappear. So that is pretty much it. That is all that I want to tell you about this all new 4th generation Maruti Suzuki Dzire. How does it feel from behind the wheel? I think it feels just as good as a family car buyer might expect it to be. Would I recommend it? Definitely. I think this is the best looking Dzire ever. It is good on the inside, it is great on the outside, and space and packaging too is quite good. Do check out our other content pieces which we have uploaded, long format and short format, so that you can make your decision if you like this or not. See you soon. Subscribe to the Shifting Gears channel, press that bell icon, always drive safe, and always guys wear your seat belts.